Hi everybody, it's Stephanie Mo Davis. It's been a while since I've made a YouTube video because I've been busy with other projects. I have been making quite a few Facebook videos, but I'm going to try to come back to YouTube. Alright, so today I want to talk about something that's really important, a dynamic that I'm seeing being played out all over the world stage right now. Okay, and this video today has been sparked by a circumstance that arose on Facebook with a meme that I posted. And the meme that I posted said, in order to love yourself, you cannot hate the experiences that shaped you. All right, let me say that again. In order to truly love yourself, you cannot hate the experiences that shaped you. This is going to trigger a lot of people because a lot of us, everybody, has endured traumatic situations on varying degrees of the spectrum, but we've all experienced a time in our life, multiple times or a specific time, where we endured something so incredibly traumatic. The injustice was through the roof that we seem to have difficulties really, truly accepting that that's a part of our experience that shaped who we are today. All right, so let's just delayer this a little bit, and I want to be very specific about what happened. So I posted that, right, and it said, once again, you cannot truly love yourself and hate the experiences that shaped you. And a woman said no childhood sex abuse survivor ever. And the reality is, I am a childhood sex abuse survivor. And I thought to myself, all right, I get what this woman is saying. She's trying to, claim that her specific trauma, which also was many people's traumas, is higher on the spectrum of trauma than others, right? So that's her personal experience, and her reaction is stemmed and backed up with a lot of feelings. And this is something that I might have said in my past, all right? But what I've realized over my past several years of deep, deep, deep healing and being a part of the quote-unquote spiritual community is that I was very right brain dominant. And what I mean by this is the part of the brain that has everything to do with the female energy. There's different female energies, but a lot of intuition and compassion and nurturing and slowing down and really being in touch with your feelings. Now that's a good thing. But everything has two sides, okay? If you don't understand polarity dialectics, I encourage you to just research the definition of that and what that is so you can understand that a lot of things have two sides. So if you're being led by your feelings, that can be a really positive thing, but it can also be a really unconscious thing if you haven't fully understood and logically made have grasped the understanding of where your feelings are coming from. Okay? This is really important. Many of us nowadays are reacting from emotion and feelings, but they're coming from unhealed childhood traumas. And we're claiming that as our, position in the world, and we're not really understanding that the reason why we're advocating so fiercely for certain things in our life is because we have some trauma and some personal experience still behind it. Now, you can advocate for something that you've experienced, but in a very balanced way, where you're using your right and left brain in harmonization, and you're not just reacting out of your trauma, okay? So what I want to say is, one thing that's playing out on the world stage right now so fiercely is this dynamic between the narcissist and the empath. You see this everywhere. It was just over the last several years that the word empath really became more of a kind of a global term. I mean, I know many of us have known what that's meant for a very long time, but you're seeing these kind of waves of understanding. And over the last several years, I've been seeing play out on social media this aspect of like, oh, you're an empath of this. People are realizing that they may hold tendencies of being a highly empathetic or sensitive person. And I am too, right? But I also realized many years ago that if I didn't understand where my highly sensitive feelings were coming from and what triggered me and what kept me in a state of balance, I was going to go under. I was going to isolate myself because I couldn't handle being around the world because I was so empathetic and highly sensitive. All right? So being empathetic and highly sensitive can be a very incredible gift. But if you don't know how to navigate your skills of being highly empathetic, it can take you down. All right? So again, be cautious of your label and understand that, if you're empathetic, you need to know why. What in your life has created this sensitivity? Maybe it's something that, developed later in life. You realize this. Some people are born this way. I was very much born this way. But as I developed and gained the emotional intelligence, I had to understand what that was and how to work with it so it wouldn't be a detriment in my life, but that I could actually use that as something to propel me into my greater gifts and abilities. All right? So the empath narcissist, it is a dynamic that plays out all the time, right? If you don't know this, if you're highly empathetic, most likely you've attracted a narcissist in your life. And vice versa. Narcissists might not be aware that they're attracting empaths. It's just the energy that you guys are emitting. And it's like two poles of, two sides of a magnet that are attracting each other because you actually, and I want you to open your mind for this, okay? Try not to get really reactionary. I know what that means when you're reactionary because I've been there. I want you to listen. Is that both of you are attracting each other because you both need healing and you both need to integrate aspects of yourself that are very much on one end of the spectrum. Okay? Again, a narcissist may very overtly do this, but a lot of times they're not overtly doing this. They're not trying to be a blatant sociopath and psychopath and take you down. There are a small percentage that maybe do that. And if you're with them, I might question your logic. But a lot of times this dynamic is playing out unconsciously, and neither one of you realize what's happening until there's been an extensive amount of damage done. Okay? So what I'll say is, it's actually funny because, again, unconsciously, what happens a lot of times in this dynamic of the highly sensitive person, an emotional individual attracting the blatant, rude, overtly or covertly just abusive person who doesn't care, there's energy that's being that's catalyzing this dysfunction because there's aspects of both of you that need to come into a harmonious balance. Okay? Also, this can be known as like the victim-perpetrator dynamic. All right? And, for those of you who are in dynamics like this, I want you to consider, research this dynamic because there's fantastic people doing work in the world with healing these deep traumas that create these cycles or patterns or these thought form loops that you get stuck in, right? Like, oh, I've dated this narcissist and now I'm with another narcissist. I can't understand why. Well, it's something within you that needs to be balanced and harmonized. You're attracting this energy unconsciously because there's something within your subconscious that's blocking the growth, okay? And you have to really delay or discover what that may be. This is a huge process of healing and transformation that will need to take place. So my short video doesn't even touch the surface of really what it takes to overcome these dynamics and to really fully integrate and heal. And there's a lot of blame, right? When a person, an individual, wakes up to the fact that they're empathetic, sometimes they'll use that as a scapegoat for a while, or like an excuse, like, oh, I'm like this and this is who I am. You have to rise above your empathy to take control of those feelings, okay? So in order to be able to do that, you're going to go through a process of polarization, which is where you realize, oh, I'm empathetic. Oh my gosh, like, am I doing this? And do I need fixing? And then what will happen is you'll flip onto the other end of your spectrum. And many times, and very often in that case, people become highly reactionary. They use their voice in ways to really explain the trauma that happened. They're moving the energy. They're working things through, but it's in a very emotionally charged state that they're in, and there's a lot of blame and actually victim mentality in this process of the healing, in that part of the healing process. There's a lot of blame. Okay? And what I will say is this: that's part of the process. Okay? And I get it. I've been in that too. All right? But really, insofar as the quote that I posted, in order to love who you are, you cannot hate the experiences that shaped you. That means your abuser, your whomever. If you are hating that experience and putting blame and shame and guilt and all of these lower vibrational emotions on the situation yet, you're normal, but there's more work to do. There's more work to do. Okay? Again, if this doesn't resonate with you, if you are not willing to look in the mirror at yourself and really be deeply honest with yourself, my channel is not for you. Please click off and find somebody else who will support your pattern of dysfunction, and you stay there as long as you want. I did that in myself for an extended period of time until I really took a stone, hard, cold look at myself and realized that these patterns and these behaviors of blame and being in victim mentality were holding me back. Okay? Again, everybody's experienced trauma. You're not the only one. Very often you feel like your trauma is the worst trauma and nobody can really understand. Or what you'll do is you'll gather around people who've experienced the same trauma, so you can kind of coalesce and merge energy. And you know, some people stay in a state of victim mentality in that case because you constantly rehash that energy instead of rising above it. In order to rise above a horrific trauma, you got to change your audience, actually. You can't continue to be around people who want to be in victimhood mentality. You must understand that part of the process of healing, but then move through it, or that will always be a block to your progress. You will always limit yourself if you are holding negative energy towards a specific person, place, thing, or event or trauma in your life. Okay? Seek out understanding and help and people who have had the ability to pull themselves out of the victim state mentality and rise above it. Now, I'm not talking bypassing your problem and just pretending it didn't exist and pushing it back and ignoring it. That's not going to do any good either. I'm talking about stepping into your problem, stepping into it. And again and again and again and again until it doesn't rip you apart every time you think about it. Keep leaning into it as much as you can when you have the energy to try to process it in a way where you have a deeper understanding. And if your trauma has been very horrific, you're gonna have to get right with the God of your own understanding. Because when you start to see things from a higher perspective or from your higher self and not just your very three-dimensional self that only sees the things that are right in front of you and wants to blame everybody else for your issues, you gotta connect with the spiritual realm in an authentic way, not in an inauthentic way, all right? In an authentic way, and really understand, look, somewhere along my journey, this has happened to me. Maybe before I came here. Again, this is very higher level thinking, and if you don't like this, don't use it, but also don't surpass your problems. It's totally up to you, and this is what's worked for me, and I'm not you, but you can find something that works for you. I realize, okay, I've been through all sorts of things. I don't need to discuss it openly. Sometimes I do, and sometimes I advocate for certain aspects of my own personal traumas, but what I will say is it's been pretty severe at times for me. Very severe, okay? Don't judge me by my appearance or what have you and think, oh, she doesn't know what it's really like, because I do. I absolutely do, all right? But what it's taken for me to move past those traumas has been the most incredible, arduous, challenging amount of work, day in, day out, to keep myself accountable of when I'm dipping into victimhood mentality, okay? Or when I'm not in alignment and I'm attracting things again that aren't really in my highest good, okay? In order to be this kind of a person, you really have to Manage your time in a way and manage your life in a way where you're doing personal self-growth work on yourself and you're working with the right people. Again, you can work with the people who support your problem and they want to commiserate about problems. You're not really all collectively as a group going to really transcend and have these quantum leaps into the next level of your existence if you're staying there, okay? But for me personally, all of the traumas that have happened to me, I realize, okay, and you can think I'm nuts, really don't care, works for me, is that I realized that before I came here, God and I had a discussion that I didn't really remember until I really processed all of this, is that there was something I came here to be. There was an impact I came here to create. There's people I want to help. And in order for me to assist on the level that I want to assist with others, I had to feel a lot. I had to experience it myself and go through the journey and discover ways in which I could transcend the fear, the lack, the shame, the guilt, the anger, all of those emotions, and recognize that in order for me to be the person I want to be and the person I'm becoming, I had to feel a lot and I had to work my way through it step by step by step. And anything that's still lingering and creating a heavy weight within me is one more thing that's holding me back from where I'm meant to be. So I believe before I came here, God and I sat down and had a conversation. And he said, all right, what kind of impact do you want to leave? What kind of legacy do you want to create in this world? And I said, you know what? I want it all. I want to create a huge legacy. I want to help a lot of people really authentically. And God said, okay, you know what? Then I'm going to have to give you these experiences in order for you to feel deeply and find the tools and develop this skill set for you to personally transcend these traumas so you can relate and empathize with others better. Okay? So it's hard. Okay? I'm working on programs right now to help to really put into place a detailed, succinct skill set for people who are trying to overcome trauma and to step through into that next place that they would like to be in their life's process. And it's taken a life's work, it's my life's work of healing myself in order to be able to share this knowledge, okay? When you are reactionary to anything on Facebook, especially with people you don't even know, it's ridiculous. First of all, it's a huge waste of time. I would start by limiting your time on Facebook because it's a huge waste of time if you have stuff that you want to do in this world. But what I'll say is if you're getting reactionary over things, the moment you feel triggered, you got something within you that needs to be addressed. Okay? Again, and you can hold on to that. You know, tooth and nail, and really just say, well, this is a part of who I am, and this is my identity, and I experienced this, and you wouldn't understand unless you experienced this. And the fact is, like that woman who made that comment today, I absolutely did experience it. I just had a different outcome with my experience than where she's at right now. She's not right. She's not wrong. I'm not judging. I don't have time. I don't judge people for where they're at. I see where they're at, and I also can appreciate where I've gotten to in the deepest process of my healing. And I haven't arrived at anything. I am a human being working through this life just like all of you. I'm just sharing my experience. And again, I desire to see people be authentically empowered and doing what they want to do and becoming the person they need to become to get what they want out of this lifetime and to help others, okay? So again, if this video helped you, I feel like I could talk another hour about this, but I'm not going to. But I really want you to do some self-investigating if this is you. If you're not where you want to be in your life, begin to really investigate with the correct people on where you may be blocked up, where maybe you could use a little more discernment and education and knowledge, and be willing to step into those people who challenge you. If you're going to just hang around with the people who make you feel good about your traumas, you're not going to get anywhere. You might need that for an extended period of time in your recovery process and in your dealing with your psychology, but seek out the correct help. If your professional if you're not seeing the results that you would like to see in your life, and you're seeing professionals already and they don't have the experiential journey of what you experienced, maybe you need to seek out another professional. All right? So that's all I want to say today. If you guys have any questions, you can email me, stephaniemoddavis@gmail.com. I do have a website, stephaniemoddavis.com, where you can, sign up for sessions. I always have specials and discounts, or just read my blogs or information that's on there. And other than that, have a fantastic day. Do the self-work, continue to do the self-work, and seek out the people who are going to challenge you and help you really move through the issues with logic, intelligence, and grace. Have a nice day.